Well, I'm 39 today. And yes, I'm taking a moment to talk to y'all. I'm like, how did we get here? And obviously that's a rhetorical question because clearly one heartbeat, one breath at a time. It's how we got here, one day at a time. But I'm like, firstly, time is moving by really, really quickly, at least for me. My brain is a few months delayed. So I'm like, it didn't feel like my birthday was quickly approaching, but it's here. It's here and I'm taking the time to reflect. And I'm going to do this right here with y'all. So let's stay tuned. Okay, so let's talk about this grown age of 39. My 30s specifically. Listen, I have always wanted to be an adult. I was that kid. Like I knew I wanted to be a mom, a wife, have grown people money, have my own house. I always wanted to be an adult, and that is just what it is. And so when people say things like, I wish I could go back to be a kid, I'm like, you are on your own. Uh, and I know being an adult requires paying bills, carrying responsibilities on our shoulders, and all the things, but I've always wanted to be an adult. But somewhere along the lines, late teens, early 20s, I began to really have this desire to be in my 30s because people that were in their 30s or were older would say something about, yeah, when in my 30s, da, 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 and they would talk about the 30s like it was this wonderful era. And they would say things like, that's when I got to get to know who I was and came into myself. And I'm like, what does that mean? But whatever that means, it sounds amazing. And I couldn't wait to be in my 30s. And as I entered into my 30s, I began to understand what that meant. But the first part of my 30s, it was kind of trash, okay? It was very tumultuous, filled with a lot of pain. And even though I was starting to get to know and get an understanding of who I am and coming to self, I didn't have the outlet and the room and the space and the healthy environment in order for me to be able to do just that. Like, not at all. But thank the Lord and just thank the Lord that I'm alive today to be able to tell y'all that, hey, um, yeah, I am so glad the Lord turned it around, and the latter part of my 30s, we good. And I know I still got one more year, but I'm now in an environment where I get to uncover a little bit more of who I am and just ever evolving into the person that I know that I was woven and crafted to be. But with that said, I want to talk about, because I do want to reflect with y'all on what I'm hoping year number 39 is. But I don't want to do that without talking about year 38, because let me tell you, year 38, it's a little bit bittersweet. It had its good, but it also came with its challenges. We'll leave it at that. At the start of 38, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't, I just became 38. It's just like a weird number. I'm like, okay, it's not like 35, or it's not like the big 40 or the big 30. Just, I don't know, just kind of, anyway, like another birthday, right? So, but I entered 38 just riddled with exhaustion, but also wanting something to change in my life. I was also riddled with a lot of loneliness because I had been single for so long. Although I was surrounded by a very loving community, a lot of love from friends and people that I would mentor. And so I had other avenues of love and affection, but that Eros love, that romantic love, yo, your girl here was like, I was longing. But at the same time, I was trying to stay busy and focused. So, but I was starting to give up. I was starting to give up. And yeah, in year 38, after over 4 years of being single, uh, post divorce, post abuse, I found love again. And I was not expecting that. I didn't think it would happen for me. And that's that. So year 38 has been really good to me in that regard. Now it's taken me a lot of learning because I don't know what I'm doing. I don't think anybody does. I don't know what I'm doing. And I entered it in with a lot of fears, mainly because of trauma and past history. And yeah, I'm so glad I have a very patient person, someone who's loving and very patient. But I'm so glad that, I'm so glad and I'm very happy. And year number 38 was also the year where I'm sitting here like, yo, I'm good. I feel healed from trauma. And I had moments where I was like, really? You forgot this little area right here, and you forgot that healing is not linear. So I had moments throughout year 38 where I dealt with anxiety. I dealt with, just, I'm not going to say trauma triggers, but kind of like that. And I had to learn to let go of the anxious attachments. I had to learn to self-regulate. I think that was the biggest lesson for me in year 38 is like, by the way, you think you're healed, but really you are anxiously attached. And this is why you're people pleasing. You're anxiously attached, and you got to correct that, and you have to self-regulate. So it was about learning how to self-regulate. Year 38 was also a year where there was a shift in my life, and I lost pretty much my community as I knew it. Nothing bad. It's just God had me transition out of something, and I had to take time to grieve that. And it took me a minute. It took me a minute. Sometimes it still hits me here and there, but it took me a minute. But the transition, I'm starting to see now. I don't think I fully understand or see the full impact quite yet of having embraced that transition. But it got done. I was obedient and it got done. And also, year 38, I learned to say no to stuff. And it's been the best thing, where it's like slowing down and slowing my pace. Like, it's been cool. Sometimes being at the house is cool. Like, girl, you don't have to run around everywhere. You can have a slower paced life. Now, I still have to be mindful and intentional about, like, you haven't left the house. You need to go do that, like, ASAP. So I have to be very mindful. Now, year 38, I do admit I haven't taken the best care of my health. Insomnia has been kicking my behind. I haven't been eating the healthiest. Fitness, I'm gonna say I gave it a try. I gave it mediocre attempts at that. My skincare routine, I used to be so diligent. I haven't been about that life as diligent as I used to be. So yeah, I kind of let go a little bit. But it's also been the year where I'm like, you know what? I've been walking with more confidence. Like, who the heck is, like, do you know who I am? I don't go around with that attitude, but I've been more confident. I would have to say I've been more confident. And it's the year that I embraced loving what I love to do. Latin dancing. I don't know if I'm any good at it, but I freaking love to do it. So that's that. That's year 38. Now for 39, I don't know. I feel like I want to say what I want to say, but it's going to sound so basic and shallow. But I almost want to say, you know what? I want to get in the best shape of my life. Not any particular number, just want to be strong and just go into my 40s with the best health possible. Yes, mental, spiritual, but also physical. Mental, spiritual, emotional, but also physical. Like, what could that look like if I entered a new decade in the best shape of my life? Because I think I want, not kind of, I definitely want to be present in the milestones, not just my own, but those that I love, like my children and people that are important to me. I want to be available to them and be there in their lives and get to be healthy enough to witness all the goodness and greatness that's happening in their lives. And I want them to have the best version of me. And yeah, I'm considering like, what does that look like? So that's the inkling that I have, is I want to get in the best shape of my life. And I almost want to do something very daring. Very daring in the sense, like, I don't know, go all in on one of my ideas and see where the heck it goes. But I gotta think about it a little bit more. But I'm thinking about those two things. I just want to go into year 40 with a bang. I want to go in. I just want to go in with like, man, I really made the most out of year 39. I don't know. Write and publish another book for all I don't know. I do have another one that I'm working on, but I just want to maximize year 39. But I gotta tell y'all, I don't feel like I'm this old. I think mentally I'm suspended in my early 30s. But yeah, but I'm here. Can't believe I'm almost 40. But that's it. I'll stop yapping away about my birthday. So if you watched this far, you watched this much, thank you. But we'll see. I think I'm gonna document more stuff like this and share along the way. So stay tuned. Till next time.